What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. You know, last night I sat down in this chair and I was ready to do an afterthoughts, man. And I really wanted to talk about and really dissect the Blackbeard portion of the chapter, because after thinking about it for a while, of course, being the Blackbeard tard that I am, I really wanted to talk about that. But then I was like, you know what, man? I know what I said earlier in the day, that I wasn't going to wait for Viz. But because of certain differences in translation, when it came to that Blackbeard portion of 956, where he says in one translation he said, "I'm gonna go collect them," and in the other translation he said, "I'm gonna go collect it," right? So I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna wait for Viz. I'm gonna wait until I get home. Today was a long day, man. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna wait until I get home. I'm gonna reread this One Piece chapter through the Viz for the first time. I haven't read the Viz yet. So I'm going to be rereading it again, looking through it page by page, because I have a whole boatload of notes based on the other translation. Now what I'm going to do, of course, is take the common ground between all three translations that I've read to see what is truly the truth when it comes to these certain things. Now, this chapter, man, this week's chapter of One Piece, Oda has released a lot of discussion-worthy chapters within the course of the entire series, especially for the weekly experience side of things. He's definitely created a lot of chapters that you can just sit here and discuss for hours on end. I know I have with a lot of his Reverie chapters and a lot of his all of his post-arc chapters, but especially looking back to last year when he released those Reverie chapters, because I'll tell you what, man, whenever I first read 906, 907, and 908, those chapters progressively got better as time went on. You know, more discussions were brought up, more theories were brought up, and we were able to discuss them and dissect them more than ever before. And I feel like this is going to be one of those chapters, if Oda decides not to go back to this next week, which I think he will. Because we didn't get the Act 2 or the Act 3 begin thing like we did in chapter 925, I do think that we're going to continue this Reverie-esque portion of Wano next week. And it might even go further beyond that, but we'll see what happens. Now, something that's wonderful, some wonderful news, is that I thought that One Piece was going to be on break next week. I thought the whole magazine was going to be on break next week, because that's what I was told earlier on this week. But apparently, not only is One Piece not on break next week, but it's getting the cover and color page. And immediately I thought about the last time that a Reverie chapter, or at least the first time that a Reverie-esque, Wano-esque chapter got the cover. The first time we got that, we got a picture of this. I printed this out because I was so hyped. Reverie Wano, right? And in this very cover page that we got, Vivi's right here and Cobra's right here. And I understand that Oda wanted to introduce the Reverie arc with familiar faces. You know, of course, to people who probably hadn't read in a long time, like, oh my god, Alabasta characters on One Piece, what's going on here? They probably opened it up and were like, Flagnards. You know, my beloved Alabasta characters are back, because that's how a lot of people got into One Piece, was through the Alabasta saga. So considering how popular that arc was not only in Japan, but also here in the States, Alabasta was the arc for such a long time, man. And well-deservedly so. But I always look back to that cover and I'm like, man, was it simply a promotional image used by the marketing team to promote the Reverie so more people would come to read it? Or was it Oda telling us that this Reverie and Wano saga real deal would entail the likes of Vivi and Cobra and the whole Nefeltari family alongside the whatever's going to go down in Onigashima? Because what I originally thought was that this whole Nefeltari family ordeal was going to get, and this whole situation was going to get resolved before the final war, heading into the final war. But now it's looking like that's not even the case anymore. It looks like all that stuff is happening now. It's popping off now. Which is why the beginning of this last chapter shocked me so much. Because I did not expect... I expected half of the Reverie stuff to come into fruition in Onigashima, but not all of it. I thought with the Reverie arc, we were getting ready for Endgame One Piece. And this technically, what we're heading into is the beginning of Endgame One Piece. But with like the introduction of Instant Messenger Sama, the stuff going in with the Nefeltari family, with the ancient weapons, I thought all of that, the empty throne, Shanks talking about a certain pirate, the rocks. I thought we were talking about Endgame Saga, not particularly like the final arc, but the saga of whatever takes place after this Four Emperors saga, that final arc saga with Raftel and whatever else is going to take place there, that's what I thought we were getting ready for with Reverie. But I might be mistaken, man. I real deal might have been mistaken. This all might be build up for what's going to go down on Onigashima, man. And when you think about it in that way, I know Oda said that this incident, that we still don't know what truly happened, is what was gonna whatever that incident is what's gonna leak into Onigashima. That's gonna make it absolutely insane. That unimaginable arc, the arc of epic proportions, as the editor said. I know the editors are meant to hype up their manga, right? But there's something to be said whenever an editor states that an arc is gonna be the most epic arc since Marineford. Especially considering the stuff that we've had up until this point. You know, we've had a lot of really, really epic arcs with some great characters, and some characters we want to see for a long time. And in particular, whenever I say that statement, I'm talking about Dressrosa and Whole Cake. You know, we had been waiting to see these characters for quite some time, and they were really epic in their own right. But the fact that the editor said this is going to be the most epic arc since Marineford, a lot of us were held back. We're like, whoa, holy flag nerds. Like, we know that Wano has been built up for quite some time. I don't think there's an arc in One Piece, not even Marineford, I don't even think has the build-up or has the same amount of build-up as Wano, because Wano's been built up since pre-time skip. Wano's been built up since Thriller Bark, maybe even beyond that. Wano has so much build-up going into it. And the fact that we're getting all of that coming in now, the fact that the part-timers are about to become full-timers is what's super exciting to me, man. This chapter, even though it has certain things that we had speculated and theorized that could happen, the fact that it's actually happening in the manner that it's being executed is what has all of us so excited. But I wanted to get that off my chest because I was like, holy flagnards, bro. I mean, this is crazy. This is truly a crazy time to be in the series. And, man, dude, when you think back, right, just think back to the 5-year plan. Oda originally had a 5-year window that he wanted to end the series in. If you guys aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, there was an interview a long time ago that stated that Oda originally wanted the series to go on for 5 years. I don't know how in the Flying Flagons he came to that conclusion, but I can sort of understand where he's coming from, because in your head, you're like, man, I can do all of this really quick, right? I can go through all of this. I'll probably end it really soon. But as he continued to introduce more characters, and in particular, he stated that the introduction of the 7 warlords, the Shichibukai, is what really extended the length of the series, which you can see because a lot of the major events and a lot of the important events surround the Shichibukai. The first time we were introduced to a warlord, and we actually faced off against him, was Crocodile. And in Crocodile's arc in Alabasta, we were introduced to the Nefeltari family, or in that saga, the Rokework saga, the Nefeltari family, and most important, well, not most importantly, but the Poneglyphs, man. The Poneglyphs, ancient weapons, all within that one arc. Stuff that is, you already know, is extremely important to the endgame. So when I think about it in that manner, and in my personal opinion, you know, I'm still working on the video, but I reread Alabasta last year after the M-Sama chapter, the Instant Messenger Sama chapter, because I truly believe that Instant Messenger Sama's background, who that character truly is, and/or the motivation stems from Alabasta, and I look back on that arc because Alabasta to me was the turning point. To me, I think that was the original halfway point for One Piece of what Oda had in mind. I think Oda, after Alabasta, the arc that followed Jaya was the halfway point originally in his mind for One Piece. The reason why I said it is because in Jaya he introduced everything else that is still relevant today. He introduced Doflamingo, one of the most important characters in the series. Kuma, another one of the most important characters in the series. The Gorosei, that doesn't even need to be said. The Marijoa, the whole Shichibukai system and the way that it works. Blackbeard. You know what I'm saying? Like in Jaya, he introduced so many of these things that we know to be very, very important directly after Alabasta. That, to me, all of that, alongside certain other things that were in the series that were in his mind, he probably just spread it out. But that was all happening together. And to me, that was all a part of his original 5-year plan. When I read this chapter, it felt like this chapter was in Oda's original 5-year plan. Of like, Blagnards, this is something that Oda's been wanting to do and he's been setting up for a very, very long time, man. For a very long time. You know, I often get spooked whenever I read about that interview where Oda was talking about how he told somebody, you see that guy right there talking about Kuma, he's going to send the Straw Hats away one day. And it just spooks me. that Oda must have been thinking in his head while writing Alabasta. Man, Cobra and Vivi are going to be the part of this assassination plot. Whenever you introduce Ace with the S crossed, oh yeah, man, I'm going to introduce Sabo, their brother, who they think is dead, and he's going to be connected to. So not only is Ace connected to the Alabasta arc, and now you have Sabo being connected to the entire plot too. And I'm like, brother, Oda, relax, all right? And it's madness, man. I mean, and those thoughts have been coursing through my head like sweet mother of Flagnards. Oda's original 5-year plan, we knew this man from the moment he started the series had the final panel in mind. He's had the final arc done, basically, like in his mind, and he's just writing the entire series to get to that point. So with that being said, he's always had the end game in mind, which means everything that he introduced at the beginning of the series, the reason why it's so relevant today is because it's always been there. And this stuff that we're seeing right now has always been there. At the very least, the idea of it, the execution, of course, something that comes as a writer as you continue to progress and as a storyteller and whatnot. But the idea has always been there, man. And this whole abolishment of the Chichibukai system and the way things are going down, I don't know, man. It's exciting. It's super exciting because, especially because of the fact that we know how near and dear these characters are to the Straw Hats. With a character like Vivi and with a character like Cobra and the other characters that and certain other characters and how they are connected to the relationship with the Straw Hats and their stories. It's just, it feels so surreal to feel like, in chapter 103, when that came out, I was like, we're in the endgame now. Luffy's an emperor. Then when I saw Shanks actually being shown 2 times in one arc, I was like, brother, we're in the endgame. When I saw Instant Messenger Sama with a giant straw hat, I was like, bro, we're in the endgame. When I saw chapter 908 with Instant Messenger Sama, I said, man, we are in the endgame. When I read this chapter this week and I turned off the camera and I sat there, because it takes like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, my videos are so long, that it takes me such a long time just to get the file on the computer, right? So while I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, I'm rereading the chapter, I'm like, man, we're in the endgame. Like, we are truly heading towards the finale of the series. Not only that, we're heading towards the moment, the arc that is going to put the series in complete full speed mode to the end of the series. Because Wano is going to be the encapsulation of the entire series up until this point, especially post time skip. But by God, post Wano might be the most incredible arc in all of One Piece. And I see that wholeheartedly. If Wano and Onigashima is going to be the most epic thing we've seen at this point in time, just imagine post Wano, ladies and gentlemen. Just imagine the fact that these people are the ones they were the creators of the Poneglyphs. The Gozuki clan were the ones who created these things, bro. That we might find out with the Will of Dia. I don't know, dog. We might find out some crazy stuff with the Void Sentry connected to Instant Messenger Sama. I don't know, man. And it's just this chapter, it's had the brain running, man. And the more that it runs, the more I'm like, I can't piece it together, bro. Like, as hard as I'm trying, and I've tried putting myself in Oda's shoes through the entirety of today while I'm just driving about, man. I had so many things that I was doing, but even while I was doing these things, I just had One Piece in the back of my mind, like, how is Oda going to integrate this Chichibukai into Wano? How is he going to have these characters and what we're seeing right now relevant to Onigashima? Because the only reason why he would introduce these things dead in the middle of the arc is because they're going to be irrelevant in Onigashima. And it's like, how are these things going to be relevant in Onigashima? And I've just been trying to tie so many things together, and I have a few ideas. I have a few things in mind. I've read your comments. Your comments were wonderful. I saw so many incredible comments, man. One comment in particular, there was 3 comments that just blew my mind, man. One of them was about Bonnie. I read a comment about Jewelry Bonnie that completely just sent my mind into, like, I felt like I was in enlightenment. I was like, why didn't I think of that, bro? Jewelry Bonnie. The most relevant portion of that entire saga with Kuma. There was a reason why Oda put Bonnie with Kuma, and in that very same chapter put Sabo saying this is going to be a life or death scenario, and the whole thing was Celestial Dragons. Bonnie had to have been a part of it, man. Bonnie had to have been a part of whatever it is that took place there in the Reverie. Now, the popular thing that I have been seeing everyone saying is that there was an assassination plot where either Sabo attempted to assassinate Celestial Dragon, and or either that the Cobra was assassinated and it was blamed on Sabo, or that Sabo went in to go take out a celestial dragon or Im, and whenever the admirals came up in like swimwear, they were overpowered. Whenever they were overpowered, of course, the agenda was twisted to them. So now, because the Revolutionary Army was here, they would be able to take out two birds with one stone. So the capture the Revolutionary Army, say that Sabo is already dead in the paper in order to lure these individuals to come in, like Dragon and the rest of the Revolutionary Army to come in so that they can execute them as well, while also taking care of the situation with Cobra. So if they wanted to kill Cobra, screw it. The reason why we captured the Revolutionary Army is because we killed Cobra. You know, it makes sense, right? It's a theory that I continued to see yesterday in the comments, and it makes sense, and I can totally see it. And same thing with certain people saying that Vivi could very well be. It could have stated that Sabo killed Vivi, or something crazy like that in the newspaper, or vice versa. We don't know. I mean, we have no idea, because with that very first statement that Garp says in regards to please do not fear the humans, and that it's in regards to the Alabasta Kingdom. What in the Flying Flagners could be told to Shirahoshi and them that know about just how fierce and how scary human beings can be? What in the Flying Flagners could he tell them that would spook them to that level regarding the Alabasta Kingdom, right? Of course, some sort of massacre, death, and/or cleansing has to be involved in that thing for sure, 100%. But it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. At this point, after thinking about it for a very, 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 very long time, with the whole Sabo and the assassination plot and well, I guess we'll wait until we get to that part of the chapter, man. Let's get into it. See, I'm telling you, man, this chapter just has me so shook. Another one of the comments that had me losing my mind was whenever somebody, and I apologize for not remembering. I guess I could open up the tab, but another person put down the Pluton, and that Blackbeard is possibly going after Pluton. And the moment that I read the word Pluton, I was like, Alabasta, the Nefertari Kingdom, Buster Call. Like, I was just, all these different things started popping into mind, and then I read that person's comment, and I was like, flipping mother of Flagners, this makes total sense. And I felt that way about so many comments that I read yesterday. And I was just like, brother, there's just so many different possibilities. And the fact that so many different possibilities is insane. Like, how does one do this? But I'm going to give you guys my own personal theory here when we get to the Fishman Island portion. On what I think is going down here with Im-sama and the Great Cleansing. So, Ryugu Palace, Ryugu Kingdom, Fishman Island. I'm going to be rereading the chapter if you want to follow along. I'm going to be reading in the Viz translation for this one in particular, just to compare all of the translations that are out. Because this is the last one that I have yet to read this one. So, congratulations on finishing the trip. Thank you, Sir Luffy, Grandpa's father. Once again, a wonderful panel, man, of the Ryugu Castle, or I should say the Ryugu Palace, from the outside. It looks absolutely gorgeous. You must be tired, Neptune. Bwahaha. Positively tuckered out. You earned yourself some rest, Garp. Well, I can stay long enough for tea, but given the circumstances, not any longer than that. The reverie also seems to result in chaos. Something I found very interesting is somebody else commented in the comments section, or instead of just saying somebody else, man, I feel wrong not giving people credit. You know what I'm saying? So let me look through these comments right quick to see who it is that told me certain things. Where is it? Where is it? Give me 1 second, coach. While I look. Oh, I love this comment right here. Amaterasu Okami said that CP0 is Aegis, which is a shield. Working to protect the world government, what if Sword is the weapon working against the world government created by good Marines who want to change the system? That is a very, very fascinating theory. And I saw this one thing from chapter 592, somebody sent me on Twitter, that apparently Akainu has the sword tattoo on his right arm. So on his left arm, he has that thing with the flowers and the stripes, right? But on his right arm, he has a sword. Like, mother of Flagners, a sword. Now remember, in Post Marineford, there was a lot of stuff that is relevant today, man. You go back to that chapter, you go back to Post Marineford right now, specifically after the Luffy Sabo Ace flashback, And you will see some stuff that is still relevant today. With Blackbeard devil fruit hunting, with the Gorosei, and we're talking about how things were changing in the waters and the seas. I mean, it's things that are relevant still to this day, man. And that's fascinating that he decided to put Akainu on the cover page with the sword. Like, what in the flying flowers does that mean? Like, I was thinking about it whenever I saw the tweet. My mind was blown. I was like, bro, Akainu having the sword? Like, what are you trying to tell us? I mean, this dude is a person who is all about justice, which is why he's in the position that he is right now. That's why I love his character so much, because he's just a man doing his job. But man, dude, like, him being an actual, like, because we know that it's stated that the leader is X-Drake, or the captain is X-Drake. But we don't know if, like, there's a level beyond that. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if there's, like, a commander or a general, like, general of the sword is Akainu or something like that, or Aokiji. I saw some of you in the comment section saying Aokiji yesterday is a part of sword, which is, I can most certainly be. I mean, if X-Drake is working for the government and hiding inside of a certain pirate group, Aokiji could for sure be doing the same thing. You know, that just, it makes complete and total sense. Okay, man, I have to find, and I apologize, bro. I should have saved some of these whenever I saw them. But, man, I can't... Dude, yeah, I have to thank y'all, bro. There was over almost 300 comments on this video. I was so shook. I was like, mother of flagnards, bro. This is insane. Hold on. See, right here I see a few people with the sword thing right here. Hansiger Oba states that the sword group of Kobe and Drake, possibly more, will lead the New Marine when they are overthrown. Smoker might join as well. Smoker is definitely an individual that I can see joining as well. Alright, so I want to see what it says right here with Garp. It says, yes, the discussion was fraught with tension. Roots grow deep in the history between countries. We're just another part of that. As long as no blood is spilled, I'm willing to call it peace. But this meeting was a bad one. Now, this is a bit late in coming, but there's one thing that happened that I haven't told you about yet. Following the close of the reverie, something happened just after we left. I got the report while on the ship. The Navy is using its full resources to solve the matter, which I'm going to assume is that he's talking about the abolishment of the Shichibukai, and that the fact that they are sending everyone to go out there to gather the Shichibukai. Now, something I find very fascinating about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that if they are truly sending its full resources to solve the matter, where are the admirals? I mean, I understand that they just took on the Revolutionary Army, right? So they might have to rest and or get back to 100% status there, or maybe Akainu called them all back because they're sending everyone out. He needs to at the very least keep the big boys at New Marineford and or Marijoa to make sure that no one else invades while all of this is going down. Because I was thinking, why in the world would you send individuals that you know, you're not stupid. You know these people can't capture Mihawk. You know they can't capture Weevil. You know what I'm saying? Like, why in the world would you send these individuals to go capture characters that you know an admiral would have to take in order to do it? And I know what they said. They said that it was going to take their full resources to be able to handle this. So, I think what they're trying to send is a message. Like, yeah, this is our intent. We are intending to go capture these individuals. You know, to keep the balance and to keep their image to the entire world of like, yeah, we're going to go capture these dudes. But it goes to something else. Like, if they truly wanted to capture them, they would have sent their big boys. That's the way I look at it. That's the way that I look at it, which once again goes back to what I'm about to tell you, that this entire thing is just misdirection to have us off of something else. That's what this entire thing is. This entire chapter, I read a comment on this in the video that stated that this entire thing is Oda attempting to break our ankles page by page because we don't even know what certain people are reacting to. There's 3 different headlines in the newspaper. We don't know which one certain people are reacting to whenever they see certain things, right? So, but let's talk about this one right here real quick. He says, but for now I beg of you, do not be fearful of the surface and of human beings. The incident is regarding the kingdom of Alabasta. And Shirahoshi says, what, Princess Vivi? So, with the Kingdom of Alabasta, I've seen we've discussed this, I've seen the comments, and we've gone into like so, right? But instead of talking about Alabasta, I want to talk about Fishman Island. Alright. Let's go back to chapter 908, man. Let's go back to chapter 908. So, in chapter 908, whenever we look back on, where is it? Whenever we look back at chapter 908, and we see Instant Messenger Sama again for the first time in a while, we see, of course, the broken up pictures here with Blackbeard, Luffy, and then you have a blade through Shirahoshi. I truly do believe this is relevant, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really do. But Vivi is taken. Vivi is the picture that is taken, but Shirahoshi is the picture that is stabbed through. I think this is very relevant for what I'm about to tell you, man. I think that this entire plot with Vivi is to have a way of misdirecting not only Oda to us readers, but to the rest of the One Piece world, that because of the abolishment of the Chibukai system and noticing and seeing that they are sending all of the Marines, this is what I'm telling you, they are sending all of their resources to resolve the matter of the Chichibukai. All of them, that's what they said. They're sending everyone. So, if let's just say Fishman Island gets destroyed while all of this is going down, where is the blame going to go to? It's not going to the government. It's not going to the Marines. It's not going to the admirals. Why? Because it is stated already in the paper. They already have their how do they call it in detective movies? They have their alibi. We know where they are. They're going out to go capture all the Shichibukai. They're going out to go resolve the situation possibly with Sabo and the Revolutionary Army. They see all these big headlines. They see all of it's going down. It's one massive distraction. Right? So, if while all this is going down, something that I originally thought to be endgame, and it possibly still could be, but could all of this very well be a distraction to take out Fishman Island and take Shirahoshi, bro? In the midst of all this going down. Because the Great Cleansing is still happening. And Shirahoshi, there has to be a reason why Oda decided to put the sword through Shirahoshi, dog. There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason why Caribou, and why it was so prominent that Fishman Island was the first arc post-time skip. That was going to start this entire thing. And I still do not trust Caribou when it comes to him knowing that Shirahoshi is an ancient weapon. But there has to be... With the way this chapter is, and the theme of this chapter, it might just be the case that it's time for that prophecy to come into fruition, man. And for the Straw Hat to come in and destroy Fishman Island. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen now, or if that is going to happen after Wano. But don't be surprised, because it doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to right now during Onigashima. But don't be surprised if, while all this madness is going on in Onigashima and everybody else is paying attention to everything else that's happening in the world, the newspaper comes out after Wano happens, after Onigashima, and after this entire saga ends. And when Luffy looks in the newspaper, and it reveals his new bounty, the fact that he's an emperor and all that stuff, but he sees that Fishman Island was destroyed in the newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised, man. Don't be surprised. I do not know what Oda is planning to do. It has to happen because it was stated. And at this point, with Straw Hat, I kind of feel like it has to be done through either Instant Messenger Sama, or it could very well tie back to Luffy, or both. But one thing is for sure, with the misdirection that has been taking place in this chapter, with Oda trying to keep us off of something else, don't be surprised. I'm just bringing up the idea. Don't be surprised if this is all one giant thing to take out all four of them at once. Because if he's truly using this Sabo thing, if Instant Messenger Sama is truly using this Sabo thing to drag Dragon, Blackbeard, and Luffy, even though Luffy can't get it because he's in Wano. But if this is Instant Messenger Sama's way of getting all of them to come, to take all of the birds out with one stone, while also taking care of Vivi and the Nefertari family, and then having Shirahoshi open and Fisherman Island open for the taking, with no one, no Yonko. Now, what would be crazy is if Shanks already thought about, but the thing is, we don't even know where Shanks lies here after 907. That's what is so interesting. I don't know, man. So, Fisherman Island is open. Fisherman Island is open for the taking, and I have no idea what is going to happen, man. Just know that. Just know that. Keep that in the back of your minds as we continue on through Onigashima and as we continue on through this whole Reverie portion of this saga. Because look back on 908, man. That's just so weird how Blackbeard's poster is cut. Luffy's is cut. But Shirahoshi's has a sword through it, man. Such a detail-oriented individual like Oda would not do that without a reason. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. With us being so worried and scared about Vivi being assassinated, watch out for Shirahoshi. She's actually an ancient weapon. We know the Nefertari families have always been known as these traitors. We know the Nefertari family have always been like the Snow White, or like the not wanted child out of all the kings, or out of all the kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? But just keep an eye out, man, because they could very well take out two birds with one stone, with the Alabasta Kingdom. And possibly Fishman Island, man. It's insane, but if Instant Messenger Sama is doing all of this, take them all out at once, I can't deny his genius. I really can't deny his genius, bro. But let's continue, because if not, we could be here all day talking about that, man. But in regards to the incident regarding Alabasta, we'll just have to wait and see what happened there, man. I mean, there's so many different things that it could possibly be, but until we get more information, we're not gonna know, man. And I've continued to rack my brain on this whole Cobra possibly being assassin. I want to know what he asked, man. I wish we could get a back in time to, because if he brought up this Chibukai abolishment, I know for a fact he brought up the Void Sentry. I know for a fact he brought up the Poneglyphs. And if he brought up those, there's no way in the Flying Flagnards he didn't bring up the ancient weapons. So I want to know, man, because I'm pretty sure at this point in time, Cobra's dead. I'm pretty sure that as I sit here talking at this point in time in the One Piece series, Cobra is dead. And Vivi is, I don't know what happened. I read a comment that said that, or I think it was a comment, or somebody messaged me. See, man, this is the problem with having so much information in here. I apologize. I really wish that I could give people the correct credit, man. But I read, I think it was Laz that sent it to me, or I read it in a comment. It was one of the two. So somebody sent it to me, that Bonnie, because of Bonnie being up there, she possibly could have turned Sabo and or Vivi into kids in order to ensure their safety, or made them older, whatever the case may be. I'm going to talk about Bonnie here in a sec, because Bonnie is going to lead into Wano, but regardless, let's continue, man. We'll see what happens with Alabasta. It stands 1 week after the conclusion of the Reverie, and with the roar of the conference still hanging in the air, the heads of nations depart to travel back to their homes. Oh, actually, no, I can't say that, bro. We have to... let's one more thing. Talking about the Pluton and whatnot. Well, no, I guess we can talk about that later when it comes to Blackbeard. Earlier in time, however, at the World Economic Journal, and then we see my boy Morgans. Morgans went up in the leg so more, bro. My boy boxed a Cypherpole agent, because ain't nobody pawning, bro. Who's pawning Morgans? Morgans will go up in like swimmer against anyone, dog. You better bring everyone and anyone. You think my boy is out here flexing in the newspaper just for the hell of it, bro? No, my guy is a journalist, bro. A journalist with honor. If you have honor in that type of field, you better have some backup. And Morgan's like, I don't need backup. I got myself. I throw hands. So just like my boy Saeed said yesterday on Twitter, not only is he big news Morgans, my man is big hands Morgans. So Morgan's the GOAT, but we're going to move over from this and go into the final panel from the whole Morgan's portion of this arc. Man, dude, when you have Morgan's Blackbeard, this chapter was nasty, man. Like, he had so many things that I love about the series in one chapter. But let's talk about this final thing right here. Somebody comes to Morgan's and says, I've got a message from King Wapol, Mr. Morgan's. And he has some leaked intel. Now, when it comes to Wapol, I've seen certain things being stated, but there is one thing that I saw stated that I agree with, and I'm going to add my own take on it. Somebody stated that Walpole could possibly be talking about the connection that the Straw Hats have with Vivi, right? Now, I agree with that. But let's take it a step further. What happens? What are the consequences of possibly Morgan's publishing something like that? After everything that just went down in the Reverie, and whatever it says in the newspaper, just imagine, right? It says Cobra assassinated. It says Vivi assassinated. It says Sabo assassinated. But all three of them are connected to each other. Regardless of who it was that was stepped to assassination, by God, the Alabaster Kingdom and the Revolutionary Army are connected. And because of that, the Straws are connected. So just imagine this possibility. That in the following newspaper after this message, it is revealed that Vivi has a strong connection to the Straw Hats. Keep that in mind, man, because if that is to be revealed to the entire world, what do you think would happen to the Alabaster Kingdom, man? What do you think would take place if the entire world knew that Vivi was at one point in time aligned with the Straw Hat Pirates, a queen, and not only a queen, if Cobra's still alive, which I highly doubt, a king aligned with the 5th Emperor of the Sea. You know what I'm saying? Are you catching my drift now? This could very well lead to people assuming that Alabasta is Luffy's territory. Not only that, but that would lead to people assuming that Luffy has his hands on the Pluton. What do you think would happen after this arc takes place? People are gonna show up on Alabasta's doorstep, dog. And I'm talking about the people that know that Pluton is there. Because not everyone knows that it's there. You know what I'm saying? But the individuals that prioritize territory, power, those in the know that Pluton is there, or know that the poneglyph is there that talks about Pluton. The implications with and not only just that, like for people to know, for casual individuals, a princess of one of the kingdoms that goes to the Reverie being aligned with a pirate. After all of this wallabaloo just took place with the abolishment of the Chibukai because they don't want that to happen anymore. What happens then? What happens when the person who brought up the fact that they want to abolish Chibukai gets found out to be aligned with the Straw Hats? What are they going to do to Vivi? It's going to get crazy, man. It's going to get crazy. Whether it's right now in Onigashima or whether it's going to be after this arc. But once the world knows that Vivi is aligned with the Straw Hats, it is going to be a very dangerous time for Nefeltari Vivi and that family in the Alabaster Kingdom, man. It really, really is, bro. Because they're going to have to deal with the government and other pirates. If it gets announced that Vivi has a strong connection to Luffy when he's an emperor, like after he's taken out Kaido and Big Mom, oh snap, bro. Anybody catches Luffy's gonna be is gonna get it, right? They're gonna be hunting after Luffy for the Flying Platinum. After this arc, he takes out Kaido and or Big Mom or both, and he's an official emperor, and he's known as a serious threat in the world. And you find out that another individual is aligned alongside him of somebody of that power, where you know their history, and him and the Gorosei don't want anyone to know about the true history of I'm telling you. Bro, I'm telling you, man, it's gonna get wild. I fear for the Nefeltari family, because I love Alabasta so much, bro. But it's gonna get bad, man. It's gonna get bad, bro. After this arc, it's gonna get wild. And I say after this arc could happen now. It could happen in Onigashima. They could say screw it. I just told you the whole thing about Fishman Island. What if they do this to Alabasta too? But that Walpole statement scares me, man. It scares me about the future of the series. But we continue. Including the incident, government sought to hush up the news of the king's vote, and resulting incidents spread instantly throughout the world to the shock of many. And then we see the Kalambaka Queendom. And then let's see right here. Let's read it. Eva, Dragon, Bello Betty, and then Koala's statements right here. It says, Sabo, we're talking about, it's impossible. I won't believe a word of it. And before that, it says, that can't be true. You're kidding, Sabo. It's the WEJ. That bird's lying through his beak. Our first step is to ascertain the truth. Sabo, please don't be true. We've lost contact with all of them. How do we confirm any of this? So, this is what I just don't understand, right? Now, some of these other things like Makino being depressed, closing on the bar, we have Dadan crying, and then we have this right here. Somebody told me in the comments that they could be reacting to two different types of news, or to two different news articles. But regardless, whether it be that it's said that Sabo's dead or that he attempted an assassination, these two reactions just don't make sense to me, bro. One of them is, two of them are crying, extremely depressed. And the other two are beyond shock but not crying, and they know Sabo better than them. I mean, well, Dadan and Makino and whatnot, they have that strong connection to them as to whenever Sabo was a child. And then some people were telling me in the comment section that Sabo is this child's father, which, hell, man, with the way things are going, who knows? But and then Stelly as well. Stelly looks shook whenever he says that, man. I mean, like, after going back and reading it and seeing some of your comments, I was like, brother, it really doesn't look like they're talking about death here, bro. But it's like, why would they cry? You know, I would be shocked. I would understand, not necessarily disappointment, but shock and, like, confusion. But when you're crying, what else does that paper say? Because Dragon's not crying, but I mean, Dragon is a leader, right? And this is the most emotion we've ever seen out of his face. But we don't see Bello Betty crying. We don't see Ivanka crying. The only person we see crying is Koala. But Koala seems the type of character because of her flashback that would cry for either news. Sabo killing Cobra or whatever, or assassinating Vivia, whatever that happens, whatever the newspaper says, or Sabo dying. It could go either way. Which is why, like, it's genius for me on Oda's behalf, because this is why he did it, for me to be doing this. And I don't know, man. I don't know. That newspaper could say anything, bro. It could say anything. My boy Laz told me, or sent me a comment, that somebody stated that Kuma could have sent Sabo away, and that he could possibly show up on Wano, on Onigashima. Which is something I would love. I would absolutely love for that to be the case. But with Kuma not having any resemblance back to his old personality, his final mission being to protect the Sunny back in Return to Sabaody, excuse me, I'm not sure how Oda would go about that. I mean, I know that it would ring the heartstrings, excuse me, for that to be the case. For, like, Kuma to see Sabo, and for, like, one last instinct within his body to say, I gotta save this guy, and wachunk, same way he saved Luffy back in Sabaody, he would save Sabo and actually send him into the war zone. I could definitely see that being the case. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there when it comes to the whole Kuma situation, because with the way Kuma is right now, it's unpredictable because he's not himself. He can't think for himself in that way. At least I'm assuming he can't, right? But then there's Bonnie, man. And before we continue moving forward, I want to talk about Bonnie before we go back to Sabo and them. Bonnie, to me, I've always wanted to go to Onigashima because I read a theory around 2 to 3 years ago that talks about Chapter 795. And I love that theory so much that I grabbed that theory and I added on to it. Because the theory, it was a long theory back on OnePiecePodcast.com that somebody wrote. I wish I remembered the person that wrote it. But the individual basically stated that the battle against Kaido would take place in land, sea, and air, because it said that you can't defeat him in a one-on-one, no matter if it's land, sea, or air, whatever, right? And because of that, and because of the way that Kaido is, I can most certainly see a battle taking place in the land, the sea, and the air, and I've gone with that 100%. Now, my favorite part about that theory is that Bonnie would age Momonosuke into an adult dragon form, and that Luffy would ride on an adult Momonosuke dragon taking on Kaido. Now, of course, this theory was made before we knew that Kaido was a dragon too. But I hold true that 100% to this very day. That very well could happen, especially if Bonnie manages to find her way into Wano somehow, and for her to age Momonosuke to how he actually would look like right now, maybe like the rest of them too. I would love that. I would love that so much, because then we would see Momonosuke and how he is right now, and then leaving it in the hands of an individual who does not look his age, but he is that age. That would be really, really cool, just to show like Momonosuke in his adult form. But getting back to the theory with the whole land, sea, and air thing, just having Bonnie, and once again, no credit to me. I didn't make that theory. That was somebody on OnePiecePodcast.com. But I just love that theory so much. I always talk about it because it's something I would love to see. And for a big, massive battle that's been built up for so long with Kaido, what better than to take place in the land, the sea, and the air? Like, that's a true boss battle. But going back to Bonnie, I really do hope that she is in Wano for that reason when it comes to Momonosuke. And Kinemon and the rest of them, for them to truly be their age and how they would actually be right now. If they want, of course. But I think that Momonosuke would probably end up staying in that form in his adult self. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if Bonnie is even there. But Kuma using the pawpaw fruit to either ensure their safety, and or Bonnie using her ability to ensure their safety, something had to have happened in order for them to escape successfully, man. Especially when it comes to the Nefeltari family and the Revolutionary Army. And Bonnie herself. So we'll see what happens there, man. I truly hope that we at least get one answer next chapter. I know there's going to be continued questions coming up, but Oda, please, man. Oda, please, dog. But I love it whenever he does this, because we can create stuff like this. He creates discussion and things to talk about. So, we continue over, and then we have the what's up with Makino. Oh, Sabo, she's closed the bar for today. What's all with all the news happening in the world, and we can't even have a drink to process this, right? It's just reactions to these news, man. And then the kid on the bottom saying "Dada," and I saw so many hilarious theories on that, bro, or just memes on it on social media. It was great. And then we only just found out that he was alive. Sabo, say it ain't so. So right here it says Sabo, say it ain't so, while they're crying. And then Makino with the depression right here saying, oh, Sabo. So in the Viz translation with Dadan saying, say it ain't so, it kind of does make it feel like there was something that Sabo did that was out of character. With an assassination plot. Or like him, like the newspaper's going to say something that's going to blame it on the Revolutionary Army, of course. Totally see that being the case, or the fact that he's captured, man. It could be something as simple as that. But with Oda, it's gonna be something crazy, like this whole assassination thing we've been talking about. But and then of course we get to see Doflamingo undersea prison impel down. Oh, the world never gets old, does it? Things are just getting good now. All right, in the Doflamingo way. How does the voice actor do it again? That's insane. Then, bro, we get to see the mic go. We get to see my boy Blackbeard, dog, and I continue to say this again, even though I thought about this a lot yesterday. Still, the main focus of our discussions hasn't even been what Blackbeard stated, man. And now, well, at least whenever I originally read the chapter, now I've been thinking a lot about what he said, man. I've been thinking about it a lot. So in the Viz translation, he says, pack your bags onto the ship. If the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize. So two translations say it, so we're going to go with it. Now, I'm going to go with what I originally thought whenever he said them. Now, with them, that could mean three things to me. Number one, them could mean the ancient weapon, or number one, the devil fruits. That you may know that Oda has implemented that post-time skip, and or even before post-time skip, and post-Marineford. Then Blackbeard is devil fruit hunting. Blackbeard is devil fruit hunting. So number one, if there's a fruit up for grabs, whether it be Kuma's or Sabo's or whoever's, Blackbeard's getting there first. Because that's what they did with Whitebeard. So he's going to get that fruit wherever it pops up, and he's going to know where it's going to be and where it's going to come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is Blackbeard's thing. But if he wasn't going for the fruits, what else would he go for? Number two, ancient weapons. Ancient weapons would help in the whole devil fruit hunting process. And of course, that falling into his hands would prove to move forward his goals and aspiration forward. I think this is the least likely out of these two, mainly because I feel like if Blackbeard really wanted one of those things, he probably would have already tried to get one of these things. Or maybe he's amassing this army so that he can get one of those things, but I don't know. And then number 3, a Shichibukai. A Shichibukai. Maybe he is talking about going to take on a Shichibukai to take their fruit. We don't know. Or just to take him over to his side. We know how Blackbeard was taking that approach with Ace as well. Because first he was like, "Yo, join my crew," and then of course because he didn't want to join his crew, he took his fruit. But we just don't know, man. If you're asking me, I think he's talking about the fruits. And then he's taking but right here he says that the Navy's only going to take it. If the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize. I just don't know, man. So that was talking about the them. Now let's talk about the it. If we're talking about an it, once again, it could be a fruit. I saw this comment, and it's not out of the blue, man. What about if Blackbeard's really talking about the One Piece, bro? After I saw that comment, at first I was like, nah. But then I thought about where we are. We're in the end game. We're in Onigashima. We're starting the end game to One Piece. It's not like Blackbeard is just gonna float up and arrive at Raftel. What about if he is talking about the One Piece? Now, I'm not saying he's just gonna float up there and get to Raftel. I'm saying he's gonna be starting to take the precautionary measures to get there. What about if the it he's talking about is the final poneglyph? Where is that final poneglyph? It's in Onigashima. I don't know. He could be talking about the poneglyph. Could be talking about the fruits left behind by either Kuma or Sabo or whoever. You're talking about a person, a thing, an it, Shirahoshi. You've been talking about Shirahoshi. Or Pluton. Like y'all said in the comments. We just don't know, man. You know, I saw a lot of you saying that Blackbeard is possibly going to go for Pluton, but my whole thing with that is I feel like Blackbeard, you know, he could definitely use one of those things because Blackbeard is definitely an individual who's going to have to overpower folks with their fruits and outsmart them and whatnot in order to take him down. But he never sought me as the type of person to go after the ancient weapons. Now, I may be mistaken. But if he truly ends up going for the ancient weapons, or one of them, like let's just say the government goes for either Shirahoshi and or Pluton, and then Blackbeard goes for the other one, or does he go for Uranus? Bro, I don't know, man. See, that's the thing. We don't know. But I liked what a lot of y'all said, man. About him possibly getting the Pluton. But it's just, there's so many different things, man. But knowing Blackbeard and his thing and going on and getting the fruits, it kind of does feel like he's talking about that. But at the same time, the prize, bro. If the Navy's only going to take... He says, pack your bags onto the ship. If the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize. Like, he's going to do the same thing he did with Whitebeard, dog. He's going to show up at the last second and take something. What is the prize, bro? That's why I love Blackbeard so much, man. You just never know. He's the most unpredictable dude in the entire series, dog. Even more than Doflamingo, bro. You just never know what Blackbeard's up to, man. Blackbeard, bro. But anyways, let's continue on the thing. It says on a stretch of open sea, and then it talks about Kobe. All right, sea mist. Let me read this entire portion right here because this was very fascinating. Just see the conversation between him and Drake. Hanging off on a quiet spot. Sea and mist. Really, all of that? Yes, we can't keep up with it all, even with all the sailors in the world. So as far as your situation goes, the military won't be acting on it just as we planned. So Kobe's talking about as far as your situation goes, the military won't be acting on it just as we planned. So when he's talking about your situation, I'm going to assume he's talking about the situation on Wano. That just like he planned, or they planned, the military, the government, will not be going to Onigashima. Because they're going to be taking care of what is going down here with the Shichibukai. Right? But it could very well leak into Onigashima. If one of the Shichibukai end up going over there. But regardless, we don't have the manpower, right? And that's where they stand right now. They stand where they're anticipating that the government will not go to Onigashima because they don't have the manpower. Outside of Ebisu Wano, the land of Wano wasn't a member of the world government. After all, that's for the best. But since Big Mom showed up on Onigashima, the Navy's hoping the pirates will knock each other out. See, the Navy's hoping the pirates will knock each other out. But what about if that is not the case, man? It is and it isn't, right? Because we know that at the end of this arc, Kaido has to go down. At least that's the way I look at it. With all this build-up, I feel like Kaido has to go down here because One Piece has to end soon. Now, One Piece has to end. It has to end. And it's not going to end soon, but it has to end, right? In order for it to end, we have to progress the story forward. In order for us to progress the story forward, Kaido's going to fall. So with Kaido falling, and possibly Big Mom falling, though that's a topic up for discussion, that is going to upset the balance of the world, man. Especially if both of them are in an alliance like that, which is why see, with all this stuff going down right now in the Reverie, whenever you actually think back to what's going down on Onigashima, how in the flying flag nards, if no one else goes to Onigashima, how in the world do we see Luffy and the rest of the Scabbards and the Alliance taking on Kaido and Big Mom? Bro, these are two emperors. Like, we need other individuals here. We need chaos. In order to capitalize on a situation like this, to separate the forces, we need half a force to take on Big Mom, the other half to take on Kaido. I was trying to think that the entire time how we're going to take on Kaido and Big Mom and Whole Cake. Now we're going to take on both. So the Marines are hoping the pirates will knock each other out. Who wouldn't? Figures there's just one problem. Just how Kaido and Big Mom were at each other's throats the other day. Now they're teaming up, which is, of course, is something that they did not anticipate. Now I do wonder if that news is going to get back to the higher-ups, like Akainu, the admirals, and the other individuals, like the Gorosei, Instant Messenger Sama. I wonder if it's going to reach them, and I wonder how they would react to such a thing. Depending on the relationship, do you think they could send Shanks? If Shanks himself doesn't go there out of his own voluntarily, because we know that Shanks is the reason why Kaido didn't go to Marineford. Now, whether that was Shanks' own decision himself, or whether that was his own decision, or whether he was told by the Gorosei, because at this point, we don't know. We don't know. We know that Shanks is a very free individual. But depending on his relationship with the government, we don't know if his meetings with Whitebeard and his meetings with Kaido were of his own, like, he himself wanting to do what he was saying, or what he went on to do. We don't know if that was because of the relationship with the Gorosei, and him trying to keep the world in balance with what he went on and tried to stop Whitebeard from doing, and damn sure stopping from what Kaido's gonna do. If Kaido would have showed up on Marineford, now he wanted to fight Whitebeard, Marineford and that entire part of the world would have been destroyed. Kaido and Whitebeard against Kaido and Whitebeard against the entire Marineford with all those insane individuals in one place. Shanks had to have stopped it, which is why ever since 907 came out, the popular thing is that Shanks stopped it Because the Goros, they told him to go stop it. So with that being said, could we get into a situation like that here? Where Shanks, we've been thinking about, this certain pirate he was talking about is Rocks, or it's Blackbeard, hell, it could be Luffy, who knows? What about if Shanks was just talking about what situation is taking place here? What about if Shanks was just talking about Kaido? Or what about if Shanks was just talking about something like a character here in Onigashima? He's take care of that situation, warning them in advance about what could possibly happen. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know, man. I'm half and half on that because I still do believe that what Shanks was talking about is something that's going to take place after this arc, in Shanks' arc of the Four Emperors saga, with whether that be Rocks or Luffy or Blackbeard, whatever the case may be. But half of my heart now goes the other way too, man, saying that Shanks might have been talking about something here because it's just out of all the possibilities I'm conjuring up in my mind, man. Bro, this is two emperors we're talking about, son. We need someone. We need another emperor here, man. We really, really do. Especially for the military. If the Marines are not getting involved, we need another individual in here. We do. We most certainly do. So, we'll see what happens with Shanks, man. I mean, obviously, y'all know how I feel about Shanks, bro. Anytime we see that character in any situation, I call him my favorite part-timer. Because no matter where or when we see Shanks, it's always godly, man. And it is always an awesome and amazing moment, and I will always mark out for Shanks, bro. That is my boy. That's just the way it is. Even though Blackbeard's my favorite of the Emperors, Shanks is the part-timer. He's the GOAT part-timer. When you see him, you're like, yo, Shanks! You know what I'm saying? So, so we continue. Navy HQ, Top Secret Special Force, Captain of Sword, X Drake. You know what I'm saying? So it says, as for Strat, Luffy, the situation's stagnant, no news of a breakout, and there's one more foreboding bit of news. In the capital the other day, I saw CP0. Now, X-Drake, of course, is talking about the CP0 whenever they went to go meet up with Orochi. What? Why are they in Wano? I don't like the implications. It would mean that the government's coming to pirate-led Wano to conduct deals of some kind. My mind went blank for minutes after I saw it. Where are you now? I'm on the way to the Island of Women to capture the pirate Empress Boa Hancock. Now, I also want to talk about the thing right here which says Kobe, Navy HQ Rear Admiral, member of Sword. With all the madness that was going down, after reading the chapter, I was like, bro, I'm proud of Kobe, dog. Kobe reaching Rear Admiral status? I was like, dang, bro, Kobe's out here. In one, like, bro, in the reverie. All it was the reverie. He leveled up from captain to Rear Admiral. I was like, alright, Kobe, I see you, dog. So, I'm super excited to see what Kobe can do now, man, and what he's up to, not what he's up to, but what he can do from an ability standpoint. Like, I'm super excited to see that. And I'm excited to see what is going to happen with him and Hancock, because we know, of course, their tie and the possible way that they could, because as much as I love, and I believe that Kobe is a competent fighter and or individual, I don't see him throwing down with Hancock. I mean, they could throw down, but I see Hancock coming out of that, man. I really, really do. Kobe is somebody that is just now coming into knowing his abilities. Hancock is someone that's had them for a long time. For a very, very long time. And she's battle-hardened, experienced, and if Kobe were to come up in like somewhere, the main way that I would see that playing out would have to be them coming to terms with the fact that they're both on Luffy's side, and or however it is that news were to get to both of them. And that would lead into whatever happens next, whether it is that Kobe and Hancock go to Onigashima, or whether Hancock plays along just to make sure that just to ensure Luffy's safety, which is of course what Kobe is going to have to think about as well. Does Kobe want to think about Luffy's safety, or does Kobe want to prioritize his job as a Marine? Which we've already seen Kobe make that decision before in Marineford, where he came to that sense of morality, where he just yelled at Akainu for doing what he was about to do and what he was doing. So we know that Kobe definitely belongs in this whole sword situation. If these really are like you guys were saying, like the Marines that will take them into the next generation after they get toppled down, to rebuild it and whatnot. Garp's, and that's the way I look at it. Like Garp's, the way that Garp envisions the Marines, like Kobe carrying on that will, and the way that Smoker carries it, and with possibly Aokiji. carries it as well. And of course, X Drake here too. Now, before we continue, I'm going to make sure, because my videos have been, some of them have been getting corrupted when I make like 2 separate files like this. So I'm going to make sure this is not corrupted, and I'm going to come back and we'll continue on with the afterthoughts. Alrighty, we're back. I found some of the individuals that I really wanted to give credit to when it came to certain things that they stated. Tembakau Gunung was the first person that brought up the Pluton thing to my attention. Hazi brought up a few wonderful points as well, and then Constantino was also brought up some really cool points that stuck with me. And I tried looking for some of the other ones while I put the thing on the computer, but there was just so many comments, which I'm definitely grateful for. But there was so many of them that I apologize for anyone that that I didn't get to. If I talked about your theory here in the video, man, I truly do apologize. But let's get right back into where we left off. So, man, let's go ahead and talk about Sword, bro. Now, we were discussing that a bit in the comment section yesterday, and I was discussing this with my cousin as well about what Sword could be and what is going to entail for the future. Now, going back to the Kainu comment from earlier, that apparently in chapter 592 on the cover page, it has that sword as a tattoo on his right side. Now, what does it imply? I'm not sure. What I can tell you, I think I'm with y'all when it comes to Kuzan, Aokiji possibly being a member of this group. Not sure what rank, whatever, but I remember this group for sure, alongside with Kobe, possibly Smoker as well, either here now or in the future. And then Drake, man, of course, being the captain of the Sword. Now, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if captain is the highest. When it comes to the Sword group, I don't know if Drake, like if we look at Sword as like this group that the Marines have that are, or at least this group within the Marines, this top secret special force, kind of like not like a Cypher Pole, but in terms of structure, we know how Lucci was the quote-unquote leader of that squad. You know what I'm saying? Like, is Drake the quote-unquote leader of this squad that we have right here? Because it just says captain. You know, with the way that the ranks work in the Marines, there could very well be some people higher than him. You know what I'm saying? Within this Sword group. So I'm not sure, but just having it confirmed that Drake is still with the Marines, and that he's this like triple, quadruple agent working and breaking everyone's ankles, is getting information for everyone else. Not only is it wonderful because we got to see, you know, part of his past back during Corazon's flashback, and how it seems that Drake is truly sticking true to his ideals, but at the same time, it's like Flagnards, bro. It's like, where do his true intentions lie? I mean, after this chapter, I think it's safe to assume that his true intentions have always been here with the Marines. But it's very interesting, man. It's a very, very interesting situation. And I can't wait to see more when it comes to Drake. And I can't wait to see more when it comes to his character arc, and how things are going to go forward from here, man. It's like Flagnards for X Drake, man. I always knew it was going to be important. It's incredible to me that this man, Oda, came up with all of these supernovas the week of creating that chapter, man, because they've been so important to the series. Like, just like how the Shichibukai have expanded the series, the supernovas have also extended the series quite a bit as well, man. And it's awesome because the supernovas are some of the most popular characters, some of the most awesome characters. But when it comes to Sword, that comment that was earlier from, I believe, was Amaterasu Okami, talking about how CP0 is the shield, and how we have also the sword, literally the sword here with the Sword group. But not only is it like the sword and shield of the Marines, but also it could end up being the sword that takes over and becomes the true mainstay after the current system goes down. You know, they're the ones that take over after that, and I really like that theory. So let's continue. You know, we see everybody's reactions. We see dudes clowning with Pirate Emperor, or Hancock and Mihawk and Buggy. Anyone who clowns Buggy, man, I don't know what you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, dog. That's the goal right there, son. And of course, we actually get to see the dissolution of the Seven Warlord system. You know, with Fujitora, and I believe it was Hazi, I think it was, that brought this up. Um, with Fujitora, remember how Fujitora was talking about with after the Shichibukai system gets taken out, there would be something that could possibly replace them in terms of being this tool for creating that balance. You know, coming from Vegapunk, and we all assume that it would be like the pacifistas, some Execute Order 66 stuff, where like this army would be amassed that could equal the amount of strength from that the Shichibukai could have, right? Now we know that Smoker is currently where Vegapunk is. I don't know how soon we're gonna see him. I don't know if we're gonna see him in Onigashima, or I'm sorry, not in Onigashima. Well, who knows? Who knows if he'll show up in Onigashima? But like in this current saga of Reverie, or if we could see him in Post Wano, or even beyond that, we don't know where we're gonna see Vegapunk. I think Oda's saving Vegapunk because when we see Vegapunk, we're gonna find out a lot about the series, man. Possibly with like the origins of the Devil Fruits, a lot about the Void, maybe about the Void Century, the history. Vegapunk probably has all of that knowledge, man, and we're probably gonna get a lot of that then. But in terms of just sticking with what is going down right now, if what Fujitora was talking about comes into fruition, and then we're gonna see Vegapunk's weapons coming in soon, man, to replace this Seven Warlord system, which is gonna make this very, very, very interesting. Because if he truly does send in these types of machines like the pacifistas to take care of the roles of what the Shichibukai would have been in terms of like their military, oof, it's gonna get crazy, man. I don't know if they're gonna do it now or if it's gonna be during the final war. It's gonna be crazy because there's gonna be a lot of powers going at each other at once, man. After an imprisoned argument from the two kings whose nations had suffered because of the Seven Warlords, the matter was put to a majority vote and passed. Once again, going back to Riku and Cobra, and therefore all of your privileges as Seven Warlords have been automatically revoked, and you no longer have any ties to the world government. It means nothing but a pirate again, Buggy. And then Buggy is mad. He's like, "Yo, you didn't even give me a 2 weeks notice, bruh. Like, you just terminated my papers like I'm fodder, dog. I'm Buggy the Clown. I'm Buggy the Clown. Play that junk, dog. You let me know in advance if you're gonna fire me, not on the spot." It's like, alright, man, that's facts, man. Chairman Buggy deserves to know. He deserves to know. My man said, "Yo, in the meantime, I'm out of here, Skip." I can't wait to see what Buggy's gonna do next, especially with what they've been implying up until, or at least what Oda's been implying up until this point. He's been amassing different people from different portions, and before this, of course, he was even gathering some giants. Now, that led me to assume that Buggy might have a connection and might show up in Elbaf, and he still might. But at this point, he could show up in Onigashima. We don't even know, man. I would love for Buggy to show up in Onigashima. I continue to talk about how Buggy was the well-needed and incredible comedic relief in Impel Down a Marineford, man. Some of my favorite moments from those sagas come from Buggy, and my favorite moments from Impel Down, as incredible of as much tension as there was within the arc, and how much of an incredible page turn it was in both the manga and the anime. My favorite moments in that arc are between Buggy, Bon Clay, Luffy, and Mr. 3, man. They truly were the most entertaining bunch. Aside, I think of course, the Straws, whenever they're together, like they create like that special magic of just being absolutely hilarious. But the closest thing to that, man, and maybe even like on the same level, I don't think One Piece has ever been funnier than during that arc, man. For me, like Davy Back fight was hilarious. Through the Bark was hilarious. There's a lot of really funny moments spread out throughout the series. But man, during Impel Down, during the beginning of that arc, which is crazy because that arc is so dark. But during certain portions of that arc with Buggy, Mr. 3, and Luffy, man, it was out of this world hilarious. So that's why I'm so excited for Stampede, just to see Buggy and Luffy in the same area again, and Mr. 3. So I want I hope Buggy shows up in Onigashima, man. That'd be awesome. I would love that 100%. And then here we see, bro, the man himself, bro, Dracule Mihawk. Yeah. And it's crazy because Mihawk back in chapter 125, he not only warned Perona, but it was like Oda warning us as viewers, like, yo, don't forget about this abolishment of the Shichibukai system. That's coming. That is coming, and Mihawk already knew. He was very well aware of the things that could have taken place and things that were going to be presented at the reverie, and so he was preparing himself and he was preparing the people that were around him so that they wouldn't get hurt as well. And now Mihawk, for the first time in a long time, feels the thrill of excitement, yo. The thrill of excitement comes from that comes from being chased. Yo, man, Mihawk is an individual that carries so much power within him in terms of name and in terms of strength. That remember back in Marineford when Mihawk just moved, everyone stopped to look like, yo, that's Mihawk, son, and he's moving. Mihawk, bro. Listen, man, Mihawk was truly the first character that we saw in One Piece that was on that level. And it's something that has always stuck with me because we saw Mihawk, his strength both as a in terms of like actual strength and as a person, as a character. Because whenever we saw what he did to Zoro and the words that he spoke, he just with the way that he spoke, it fit what Oda was trying to present with his strength. Like, this guy is strong both in body and mind, man. Like, he knows what he's talking about. He's been through it. And so the things being said in the series and just seeing how many strong swordsmen there are, but knowing that he's the strongest, the daily duels with Shanks when he had 2 arms. I mean, yo, Mihawk is a legend, bro. And to know that he no longer has restraints on him, dog. Knowing that he no longer has anything holding him back. Where will Mihawk go from here, man? You know, that's something that we could sit here and talk about, man, for a long time. I saw another comment as well that stated where each character might go and like where they're aligned to. And of course, the obvious one would be that Mihawk would go to Shanks, you know. That's something that, you know, they have that relationship already established, and it would lead to some great future events whenever the Straws were to go up against them. But the thing is if Mihawk were to align himself with Shanks right now, then would that mean that we won't see Mihawk until after Onigashima? Like, I'll pose that question in the comments. Do you guys expect to see Mihawk in Onigashima? Right, because I expect to see Weevil. I expect to see Weevil and possibly Hancock in Onigashima. Now, when it comes to Mihawk and Buggy, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't know what Mihawk wants to do. Mihawk is that type of character that he could just show up, and once he shows up, the game changes. No matter where it is that he shows up. If you notice in this chapter, you talk to anyone, you know, just thinking about the certain Chibukai, thinking about certain things of like what this implies and whatnot. A lot of people will tell you, yo, I think the biggest thing, aside from Hancock no longer having the protection of the world government, and now that she is going to be hunted as well, and knowing her backstory and whatnot, from just a straight up hype standpoint, it's the fact that Mihawk is no longer has restraints, man. I mean, we're all excited to see this. This is something that it's always just stuck with me, like, why would Mihawk be aligned with them? You know what I'm saying? Knowing the type of character that he is. But now he no longer is aligned with them. So we don't have to ponder that, we don't have to question that. All we know now is that he's being hunted for the first time in a long time. But what is he going to do with his freedom now? What does he do from here now that he does not have to worry about following the world government's orders? What does this mean for the future of the series? I don't know, man. Because, of course, his connection, it will always be tied to 2 characters. Shanks and Zoro. And because of that, he could definitely end up being, like I said, an aligned member alongside with Shanks for whenever all that stuff actually starts going down in the future. But at the same time, we cannot rule out the possibility that Mihawk will show up on Onigashima, because we can't rule out the possibility of anyone showing up on Onigashima. Because we don't know Mihawk's true intentions. We don't know what he truly wants to do. But the thing is, it could also go the other way. Where, like, we see a character like Mihawk, and we could say, why would he want to show up in Onigashima? Why would he show up? You know? And on the other side of the coin, you can say, why wouldn't he want to show up? Mihawk seems like the type of character that lives for the thrill of battle. In order to be the world's greatest swordsman, you have to at the very least love to have daily duels with Shanks. Mihawk has to love fighting individuals that are strong, man. And what better than to do that in a place where so many strong individuals are going to be here? You know what I'm saying? But I want to know, man. I want to know more about what Mihawk's going to do and where his story goes from here until he has to face Zoro again, man. I really, really want to know where his story is going to go. Definitely a fascinating character. I'm super hyped. I mean, my man said, yo, I want all this smoke, bro, because ain't nobody here even gonna come close to touching me. I was so hyped from this Mihawk scene. I went back and was rewatching some moments from Marineford whenever he was going out and fighting Vista and then fighting Luffy. And just seeing how other characters reacted whenever he did anything. It's like, man, dude, like, yo, this is Mihawk, bro. Like, God, this man swings once and it breaks everything around him. And I'm super excited to see where his story goes from here, man. And then, of course, we see Weevil after that. Now, Weevil, I was really, really surprised. Out of all of them, I was most surprised to see Weevil. I did not expect to see Weevil. Even though it was showing up all this Chibukai, I real deal thought we were not going to see Weevil until he was the surprise entrant in Onigashima. I thought Oda was real deal saving him for him to pop up out of nowhere. At the moment we forgot about Weevil, he's going to pop up in Onigashima and change the whole game. And I still feel like that's going to be sort of the case, because I really do feel like Weevil is going to show up on Onigashima. But the thing is that Weevil is connected to two characters. Weevil is connected to Blackbeard and he's connected to Marco. And if that's the case, if Weevil ends up going to Onigashima, those two might be there too. So I don't know, man. There's just so many different factors, so many different players. But I was so shocked when I saw Weevil in this chapter. And I shouldn't have been, because it was showing off all this Shibukai, like I said. But not really what scares me, but what has me shook is the fact that Weevil, I thought Weevil was going to be the shock, well, one of the shocks in Onigashima. But the fact that they're showing him here now, and what he's doing here, what does Oda have planned as a shock in Wano, bro? Like, yo, seriously, that's going to be insane. But regardless, Weevil as well. His situation is fascinating because we just don't know. And of course, also not only just connected to Blackbeard and I'm apologize, it's getting late. And Blackbeard and Marco, but also his entire storyline is also connected to the rocks to a certain extent too. So Weevil's story is very interesting and could carry anywhere from here on out. And because of what Kizaru said back in the chapter, I believe it was at 803, we know that we can expect a lot from Weevil when it comes to him presenting value from a strength standpoint. He's definitely going to be one of those characters that can change the game no matter where he goes. Maybe not to the extent that Mihawk will do it, but Weevil is definitely a character that, because, I'd say more equal than Mihawk, because even though they're not equal in strength, I still have Mihawk definitely over Weevil in terms of strength. But Weevil presents that level of unpredictability because nobody knows about him. Weevil is the type of character that the only thing they know about him is that he is a warlord and that he is supposedly Whitebeard's son, but other than that, no one knows anything about Weevil. It's an enigma that came out of nowhere. So who knows? He presents that unpredictability factor, especially as he does not think for himself. You know, so we'll see what happens there. And of course, we end off the chapter seeing Hancock for the first time in so long. I was so happy to see her, man, because Hancock gang, we already know her top priority is, dog. Number one, of course, taking care of the individuals here in Amazon Lily, especially now this Chibukai are going to be coming here. She's going to have to protect them, which means that she might not be able to go to Onigashima, but if a deal were to be struck to where she were to somehow be able to go with Kobe over to Onigashima in order to help Luffy, there would have to be some sort of safety net here in Amazon Lily to ensure the safety of everyone else here. But we'll see what happens with that story as well. The Amazon Lily story is interesting because Kobe has to uphold his honor as a Marine while also thinking about the current situation at hand with Luffy and Onigashima. Hancock is also in a dilemma where I know she wants to protect Luffy, wants to help Luffy over there on Onigashima once she gets news of that, but also she wants to, of course, help everyone here in Amazon Lily. But I feel like this would be a great moment if Hancock does not end... Well, regardless, it's going to be a great moment. But if Hancock does not end up going to Onigashima because she wants to protect the people of Amazon Lily, that'll be a great moment for Boa Hancock, because up until this point, she hasn't really acted like a princess. I mean, like the ruler of this place. She hasn't acted like the ruler of Amazon Lily. I mean, to a certain extent, she has as a leader, as a leader by example. But in terms of displaying in the present time a moment of leadership in that type of way, it would be the first time we would have seen that, aside from the flashback, a moment of leadership like that. So for her to step down and say, even with, trusting in Luffy that he's going to get out of this alive, and the fact that she's going to stand her ground here and protect those that she loves, that would be a great moment, man. And we have her and Kobe, or her and the Marines, whatever goes down there, having their battle there. But just exciting stuff overall, man. What Oda presented in this chapter, he just opened up the doors to so many possible story arcs and so many possible things that can happen that can possibly intertwine. And like Oda said, man, it's going to make Onigashima and this saga that's upcoming just unimaginable in terms of all the possibilities and insane stuff that could go down, man. This is one of those chapters you could dissect and talk about for ages. Let's go page by page, panel by panel, and be like, son, this is going to be absolutely insane, bro. This chapter, to me, gets an absolute awesome sauce, man. And to me, it's an obvious awesome sauce. It's just, with the way the Oda's post-arc chapters go, and you add that he's putting post-arc chapters within one long arc, making it relevant to what's currently going on. But that's what I'm saying, man. We can assume that he's doing all of this because he's going to have some of this be relevant after Onigashima and some of it relevant during Onigashima. But why would he have this all taking place before Onigashima if it wouldn't be relevant to it? But at the same time, it could be relevant to it, but it wouldn't have to directly... they wouldn't have to go to Onigashima in order for it to be relevant to this entire saga. So, man, I don't know, man. I want to know what players are going to get involved in Onigashima. I want to know how certain things are going to leak into Onigashima when it comes to a certain number of these events, like Oda stated, that insane incident, of course, when they're talking about that we haven't seen in the newspaper. But aside from that, man, so many amazing things that we could just discuss on end for so long. I mean, we already had that with what happened in the Reverie, but now even more so with this chapter. Next week, I expect us to stay here. We could go back to Act 3 in Onigashima after this. And like I said, no matter what Oda does, I'm here for it, because I'm obviously excited for Onigashima and the Fire Festival going down there, because by God, man, all the stuff going down is about to be crazy. But if he decides to stay here in Reverie, and this entire stuff going down around the world section for a couple more chapters, or one more chapter, I'm all for it too, man. I'm all for it too. Regardless of where he decides to go, it's going to be greatness. And I definitely expect next week to be another week where One Piece trends on Twitter again. Though I doubt it's an early chapter. I think we're going back to Friday, right, next week. We're going to be going back to a Friday release next week, so I'm looking forward to that. But aside from that, man, this has been the Afterthoughts, bro. I want to apologize one more time to the commenters left behind your wonderful comments, and I was not able to remember your names. I'll try to make sure to look back on that and possibly save comments next time to actually pull up. It's just that I was so excited to come home and talk about One Piece, man, that I didn't even think about that. I had notes that I'd written earlier, and I was like, you know what, man, I just want to sit down, turn on the camera, and reread it through the viz, and just talk about this amazing chapter, because it was just so GOAT, man. I mean, there's so many different implications, so many different things that can happen, both now and in the future, and how the way the certain things connect to earlier events in the series, and how it makes Reverie, the chapters 906, 907, 908, 903, even more relevant now more than ever, and just and then you go back and you remember Law's speech in Punk Hazard, dog, about how the gears would, how he broke the gear that's gonna send all this into motion. And Doflamingo's speech about the throne wars, and you're like, brother, this has been in emotions for so long, bro, and it's finally all popping off at once, dog. And it's crazy, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end it with that Law speech, though. Pulling out my amazing chapter. Or this volume right here is so good, bro. Just look at the volume cover, man. I'll never forget. I was coming home from work one time, and I told my parents to please go pick up volume 69 of One Piece while you're out, because I really, really, really want to read this in the future. Because at the time, I don't even remember if Amazon was a thing, so I had to or I think it was a thing. I just didn't use it, but. Because I didn't have a way to go to Books A Million because of the amount of hours that I was working, I was like, you know what, man, whenever y'all end up going down there, because Books A Million's around 30 minutes away from my house, whenever y'all end up going to that side of town, just go to Books A Million and go pick up One Piece Volume 69, please. I beg of you. And that's exactly what they did. They brought Volume 69, and so whenever I got back to the crib, God, I can't believe it's been that long, bro. I think this volume came out in 2013. It's been 6 years, dude. That's crazy, dog. That is wild, man. But regardless, let me see. Let me go to. So we have Virgo and Law. Where's the speech at, man? Punk Hazard is such a good arc, bro. Punk Hazard greatness. Chapter 690. There it is. Okay. All right. So Law. So Law says, "I know you can hear me, Joker." We have the Doflamingo thing. And then it says right here. Let's continue on from there. And then that's whenever he cuts him in half, cuts the whole mountain. It's been 2 years since the Paramount War. And who exactly has been moving events? You've done nothing more than maintain peace and tranquility. Whitebeard only left his mark on our times. Navy headquarters has bolstered itself with new strength. None of the other big players have acted as though they've only been preparing. That war was nothing more than a prologue. Like you've always said, a new age is coming with unmatched power. An age of the daring and mighty. Well, no, I've destroyed the gears. And no one can turn back, dog. This is such an amazing page, dude. And that's all coming into fruition now, bro. Where it's going wild, and now what everybody was preparing for is going down. Guys, this has been the Afterthoughts. Let me know if you have any other comments and or things you would like to leave in the comment section down below for anything that I've stated. Excuse me, sorry about that. For anything that I've stated here in this Afterthoughts, or anything else that you would like to add that you learned and or thought about since yesterday that you want to add on to from yesterday's comments, I would definitely love to read that. And yeah, man, let's continue thinking about and seeing what's gonna go down here in the next chapter and beyond, bro. Now, when it comes to the next couple of One Piece videos I have in mind, I really want to do an Act 2 recap soon. I don't know how soon, but I want to do an Act 2 recap soon. We're just talking about Act 2. I don't know if I'll have to split it, because Act 2 was 30 chapters long. So I don't know if I'll have to split that video, if I'll do it all in one video. I'm still thinking about the way that I want to do that. Then, of course, we have a episode tomorrow. Look forward to covering that. But aside from that, aside from those two videos, after those two videos, like I said, I don't know when I'm going to do the Act 2 recap. I don't know if I'm going to do the Act 2 recap after Act 3 begins or before Act 3 begins. I'm still thinking about what I want to do. But aside from that, man, I hope everybody has an awesome day. Take care. One Piece greatness. I'm still like Blagnards, dude, and how amazing this chapter was. But thank you so much for the support, man. I truly, truly appreciate it. So like I said, I still got over almost 300 comments in that damn video, bro. Amazing stuff, man. Thank y'all so much for everything. Y'all have a blessed one. Peace out. One Piece greatness, bro.